All right. Today is going to be a pretty easy day. Just got three slides to go over, and you have a vocab quiz. So make sure you turn in your vocab and that you do this vocab quiz. It's 10 questions, multiple choice. So make sure you get that done. All right, the last slide is human environment interaction. That is how humans in the environment interact or how the environment interacts with humans. It goes both ways. So these are two ways that have to do with rivers. So let's look at this one. This is the Ganges. The Ganges is in India.
You don't have to be a scientist to know the Ganges is polluted. Really swells. I'm in Kanpur, the centre of India's huge leather industry. There's a tannery. Much of the leather produced here is exported to Europe and the US. Oh God, it's really powerful. Very strong. What kind of waste do we have in here?
Yeah, highly chemicalized and toxic water.
Yeah.
Wastewater coming from the tanneries. And tanneries use a variety of chemicals, hundreds of chemicals.
Including really dangerous chemicals like chromium they use to soften the leather, don't they?
Yeah. Chemicals
Man.
having heavy metals and pesticides as well.
So which ones are tanneries here? But the government says it is making progress reducing pollution, and to prove it, we've been given permission to go out with a team of pollution control officers on a surprise inspection of the leather tanneries. Come in. Whoa, this is a bit different. So he's stopping something happening down there. Hey. What are you stopping? Why are you stopping? Who is in charge of this place? 4 days. There's 4 days of flesh. This is where they strip the flesh from the hide. There are huge puddles of water, and the water has that distinctive blue. It's blue because there's chrome in it.
Yeah.
And there's hides here that clearly have been treated with the chrome. This does not look so good.
That tidy. That much tidy.
This does not look tidy at all.
What
Looks disgusting.
Yeah.
The effort to clean the river is more than just an environmental project. How do you get across? It's being seen as a crucial test of India's ability to modernise, because it means tackling corruption.
Oh man, it's like walking on rubber.
And enforcing effective regulation, as well as massive investment in sewage and effluent treatment infrastructure. It is clear there is still a long way to go.
So what they're doing is this Ganges River is really important to India in general. 350 people live next to the river. And so Hinduism is a really important religion to to the people of India, and so the Ganges River is a sacred river to them. It's the mother Ganges to them, and so it's always brought life. It's brought um, obviously vegetation, drinking water, fish, all those things to them, and so it's kind of been just the life brought to them. But because it has so many people living onto it, and because up until the 80s and 90s, there wasn't really any laws in India that were stopping this. They have become really polluted. And so sewage and sewage lines drain into it. People put the ashes of their loved ones in there. Sometimes there's animal bodies, dead bodies that are just thrown into the river. And so, and as you saw from that video, that was a leather tannery where they take the hide of a cow and turn it into leather. And that leather tannery is just letting its chromium and its pollution just go straight into the water. And so, a lot of the industrial companies just let their water race go straight into the Ganges River there. So, it's really polluted. People go in there and like bathe for rituals and go bathe for religious purposes in these rivers, and there's festivals in these rivers, and then people get really sick because they ingest some of the water that's really polluted. The other river is the Feni River. This Feni River runs right through here, and it's on. Remember, Bangladesh is super low lying in terms of elevation. Let's go back to this elevation map here. Right here, you can see on this elevation map that in Bangladesh, it's really low lying, and so this river here, the Feni River, is go back down here. The Feni River is right there in that low-lying coastal area, and so because it's so low-lying, when all the rain from the cyclones comes into this area, the cyclones and monsoons brings rain and come up in here, and this area floods really easily. And since there's a lot of people who live over there, they decided they needed to build a dam to help control some of that flooding. So they did. They had a bunch of unskilled workers come in and try to build it, and then they realized they couldn't do it by themselves, so they got the Dutch people from the Netherlands to come in and kind of advise them on how to build this dam properly. Do you remember why they would ask the Dutch people to how to build these dams? Well, if you go all the way back to when we talked about Europe while we were in school, the Dutch, remember that they reclaimed some of their lands by building up those dams, draining the water out, and then using that area for farmland. And so they realized that they needed help with that, so they asked the Dutch to come help them. And so they did. They built this dam. They control this river. It helps control the flooding. It also has made an estuary, which is an inland area of the sea. Into this area, it's the largest one in the world, this largest estuary. And so they really helps them control that Feni River there. So 2 ways there that they're controlling waterways, or that waterways are kind of have an effect on the population. So that's it for today. Remember to do your vocab quiz, get caught up on your work. Have a good weekend.